Folks, welcome back to the Nice Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex, and ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah!
Mitch Marner is a Golden Knight. Before we get to that,
Mitch Marner is a Golden Knight.
Mitch Marner is a Golden Knight. Before we get there, we have to talk about how we got there.
Yes.
Free agency and
busy few days.
Busy few days. Free agency was what we thought we would be doing last year.
Yeah, I had that thought too, where I was almost getting to the point where I was like, you know what, we're not getting Marner.
No.
We're not doing anything. It's going to be another boring.
Yeah, because everybody thought last year, oh, they're going to do this. They're going to get Stamkos. They're going to re-sign Marchessault. They're going to...
You know what it really is Kelly McCrimmon's really good at...
keeping everything under wrap.
That and making things seem obvious and then like dumb if you thought otherwise. Like last year, he was like, well, of course we let them all go. What'd you think we were going to do? And I was like, I don't know. And then this year, he was like, oh, of course we got Marner. What'd you think we were going to do? I don't know.
I don't care. Like, that's the good thing about McCrimmon is, like, we've had our differences with him and his moves he's made, but, like, I don't think you can ever successfully predict what this man's going to do.
At this point, I'm just like...
Trust in the man.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm a Kelly McCrimmon
disciple. Are we at the point where it's blind trust in what he's doing? Like,
it's funny because Gary Lawless had a great quote about this on some radio show or podcast or another, but he said, I don't have blind trust in anyone, but with Kelly McCrimmon, it's
damn near close.
It's about as close as we'll ever get.
Again, he's made some decisions and some moves I didn't fully agree with, right? Like with Fleury and trading Smith the first time, but we got him back, so it kind of absolves you of your sins, right?
There we go.
And then the Marchessault thing, I could take it or leave it. There's not too many things outside some original guys I have a problem with. You could say the Pacioretty and Suzuki thing, but nobody knew how good Suzuki was truly going to be, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing is when you compare him to every other GM, I
would count maybe like Bill Zito as the only one that's better currently.
Yeah, we can save this discussion for another time.
Yeah,
but
let's get into it.
I was gonna say, how did
Mitch Marner become a Golden Knight?
So no, I was gonna say, how the fuck did Jim Nill win his third?
Bill Zito.
Yeah, it's
easily Bill Zito. Like
I've totally some of the last few episodes, I'm like, should we talk about awards? I'm like, I care so little about the awards now.
Well, let's go the way they're going to pit. Like, goes to Jim Nill again. I'm like, for what?
He signed Mikko Rantanen.
He signed and traded for Mikko Rantanen, but he lost in the Western Conference Championship.
Well, it's a regular season award.
Oh boy, do you know
who had back-to-back cup appearances before that? The Florida Panthers.
Yeah, and you made pretty damn good moves in both years. And you should have won.
Yeah,
whatever.
Anyways,
but
let's get back to
how we got to Mitch Marner. On what was this? Monday or Sunday?
I don't know.
Nick Hague.
You're asking the wrong guy, dude.
Nick Hague gets traded to the Nashville Predators.
So, how shocked were you? I would say not shocked,
but shocked. Like I was like right in the middle.
I would say moderately surprised.
Moderately surprised.
His name had been floating out there,
but then you see, I would say. Yeah, his name was floating out there, but I'm like, there's no way we're going to trade him. Like, Petro's probably going to be done. And then you find out what he signs for.
Yeah, because it happened. It was kind of a late-night trade.
It was quick. It was like 9:30, 10 at night. Yeah, it was late for it to happen. And so
he was an RFA, and he was due a contract. And like so many positions, it's kind of been a luxury to have him on the bottom pair because I think we all knew that he was better than a bottom pair defenseman.
Yes.
He's big, long range,
good shot.
He's heavy, he's mean. He has all the attributes that you want, and I'm assuming he's going to be playing top 4 minutes, maybe even power play 2 minutes in Nashville.
He's probably going to get paired with Yossi.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Like, who else is on that team? Brady Ski?
No, he's. Oh yeah.
He didn't have a really good season last year. They traded McDonough back to the Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who really else. I mean, obviously it shows, my rest of my league knowledge, but I'm not filing fucking the middle bottom pairing on the Nashville Predators.
But then you see the contract extension, and you're like
4 by 5.5.
Yeah, I'm like, we were never going to be able to give him that.
We were maxing out probably for him like at $4.5 million.
Yeah, and that being said, I don't think he doesn't deserve that. You know.
No, I think he can be a middle to potentially top pairing defenseman on some teams.
Because I did see a lot of Vegas fans that kind of immediately were like, "Oh, you're really going to give that to Nick Hague?" And I was like,
I could see it. The way
I would.
The way some of these contracts some of these defenseman contracts were signed, I could see easily him getting more. Like, and if he keeps playing the way he's been playing the next 4 years, he could get more money than that pretty easily, right? It's not unreasonable. I just don't think that Kelly McCrimmon was ever going to pay him that much money.
Oh, we couldn't.
Yeah,
so the return was Jeremy Lauzon and Colton Sissons.
And Sissons at 50% retained.
Sissons at 50% retained. So, I don't know about you, but as soon as I saw the trade and the details, I was like, "We're getting him. Yeah. We're getting Mitch Marner."
Yeah, you clear that much. You clear that much out. You only retain back a Lauzon contract was like what, $2 million, if that.
And then it was 50% retained, so it's like
on the Sissons contract. Sissons was also like 2.8, so it was really only like 1.4, 1.3, and you're like, all right, we just gained a shit ton of money. All you've got to do is trade out another body, and
then you look at the positions, like, okay, so Lauzon replaces Hague.
Yep.
Sissons is a fourth line center,
and
he's not a fringe guy.
No, he's played a lot of hockey.
He is definitely a fourth line center. Yes. To take the words from McCrimmon, don't want to oversell him, but I don't want to undersell him. He's not a fringe guy. He's not a healthy scratch. He's not in back and forth between the age. He is a solid NHL fourth line center.
I didn't know this about him because obviously I'm not paying attention too much to the Preds.
Why not?
He is one of and has been one of the best face-off men in the league for a while. He's a top penalty killer in the league for a long while, and he's been the A with the Preds. He's been in leadership positions his entire hockey career.
And that's all great, but even that aside, just the fact that you're like, this is a fourth line center, the writing on the wall was immediately that
Nick Waugh.
The rumors are true. Nick Waugh's going to Toronto.
Because the rumor before that, we didn't talk about this rumor, was rather than losing him for nothing, they wanted to trade. Vegas was working on a trade for Marner. Either it was around Hague or Waugh. Trade one of them to Toronto to get that 8th year. But then again, it wasn't even the talk was 4 years, 5 years.
I even heard some people saying 2 years.
2 years. So and so we're gonna trade Waugh for that, and then the next day you find out the deals is just straight up Marner for Waugh. Marner signs an 8x12.
And it turns out, so this kind of leaked on Friday, and then it turns out that the trade did happen on Friday. They just kept it quiet somehow. I suspect it was because they wanted to give the Pietrangelo news
some air
to breathe. Which we'll get into that whenever we get into it. But I'm sure anyone listening to this
knows that. Yeah,
we talked about it a lot last episode too.
Yeah, we'll get into the details of what exactly happened there. But let the
happy news first.
Yeah, let that news breathe. And made final. Mitch Marner, Vegas Golden Knight, before he hits free agency. But a secondary background to this was the rumor was Toronto was thinking about filing tampering charges against us.
That was
but I don't know how
bitch made
I don't know
bullshit.
How true that is, because you watch Kelly McCrimmon's.
Oh, I believe it. 100%. Elliot Friedman does not fuck around.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't. No, he's called it all. Yeah.
And then later, Steve Dangle on his podcast, he was like, that was really ballsy for him to say. He's like, because he probably just lost a really good contact.
Oh, Friedman?
Like a really good source by going public with that.
I mean, it's such a bitch move, like you said, such a bitch move of like, well, we're not going to get anything for him, so we're going to say that you were talking to Marner a year ago,
or we're gonna say that you tampered. For anyone that doesn't know, tampering is when you can't be going to other teams' players and whispering in their ear when they're still under contract.
But you're telling me these contracts that get signed at 9:01
July 1st.
July 1st haven't been pre-discussed.
Fucking
like bullshit.
7-year deal, 18-team, no trade clause.
Look like the
signing bonuses.
Look at the Gavrikov contract.
Yeah.
It's been rumored. We're watching Gravity on YouTube. He's been talking about it. It's been heavily rumored, that Gavrikov only wanted to go to the Rangers for like the last 2 months, basically. Yeah. And lo and behold, guess who's a fucking New York Ranger on July 1st? Like,
I did notice that. I think another reason why free agency sucked. I mean,
was slow.
It would have sucked anyways, but I feel like a lot of teams were like,
a little afraid about that statement.
Like, let's wait about 3 hours and then submit this to Central Registry.
Because the NHL really wants to make a point about tampering. Like, it's they're kind of going on that crybaby checklist of LTIR and these things that other GMs are angry about. Now you hit tampering because, God forbid, it doesn't go exactly Toronto's way, and they're losing Marner for nothing, so they have to dangle a potential issue over someone's head. I'm like, Mitch wasn't gonna fucking sign there. He wasn't coming back. Like, give me a break. But yeah, I mean, sure, we give up Nick Waugh, which sucks, and he's a key part of the team, and he was a key part of the cup run and had done so many things. But we talked about this and we were messaging back and forth. But if you have to give up essentially on your team a bottom pairing defenseman and a fourth line center, keep in mind you still got back a bottom pairing defenseman and a fourth line center for your troubles to get Mitch Marner.
Oh, that's
you do it 100% of the time.
Yeah,
100% of the time. Like, I love Nick Hague. I love Nick Waugh. I love both of them. Mean a lot to the team. Nick Hague was really the first draft pick that you saw really blossom in this.
He was the only Vegas draft pick on the Cup team.
Whitecloud wasn't a Vegas draft pick?
Nope.
Oh, he was undrafted, right?
Yeah, he was a college free agent.
Yeah. Yeah, he
only developed here, but the
only draft pick on the Cup team, and it sucks, but it happens. It happens all the time.
It was in the world of business, that was more than a fair price.
Oh yeah, and we got the great
free.
deal, and then so Marner signs 8x12. Put that in perspective of what he's done at $12 million.
That's a great
price. Can do.
Well, because when it was becoming more and more apparent that he was going to go to free agency, I was starting to see 13s and 14s and 14.5.
Which, by all means, he would have deserved it.
He could have got that on the open market. Like, LA would have given that to him. Anaheim would have given that to him.
Like you said last episode, maybe that contract he signed, he wasn't there. When he signed it, it's kind of an overpay. But now, he's more than earned $14 million. Like, just his play and his overall regular season play, and everybody's like, well, he disappears in the playoffs. I'm like, he's a point-per-game playoff player.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And think about the teams he plays against, too, like you said.
I said it last time, and I'll say it again. But, the most recent criticism is, well, you didn't have any points in the last 2 games against Florida. I'm like, who else didn't have any points in their last 2 games?
I'm going to repeat that until the end of time. Fucking Connor McDavid.
Are we having
2 years in a row?
Are we having this conversation about Connor McDavid?
Yeah.
How many cups has McDavid had?
0.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you wouldn't think you wouldn't know it.
But we talk about him like he's the next coming of Christ. But it's the same idea. Like, Florida is built to do that to players. But with Mitch Marner, you're gaining a player that can help Jack Eichel, that can help Mark Stone.
Can I share with you my favorite quote from McCrimmon's press conference on the signing? When they're talking about like, the pressure and this and his playoff reputation. This sums it up perfectly. If we win, we'll win as a team, and if we lose, we'll lose as a team.
Yeah.
And to me, that really encapsulates it, and encapsulates
it's not all on one
the
person.
Vegas mindset.
Yeah, because if you think about like those after, those locker clean out.
And it was the same thing with Jack Eichel.
Yeah. Like, you think about like the locker clean out like press conferences, or you think about the interviews after the Oilers series, everybody was like, we didn't play well. We didn't play well enough. As a team as a whole didn't play well enough. Nobody was like, I or this person, or the whole Matthews with the passengers comment. And it was all, we could have been better. We could have won. It's a team first mentality. I think that's what Marner kind of wanted. He wanted less of, it's all on you. It's your job to will this team to the fucking cup finals. Like,
well, and not to defend Kyle Dubas or Toronto or whatever, but another comment McCrimmon made that I agree with. He really said, that team got really victimized by the flat cap.
Yeah,
because no one saw that flat cap coming, and yeah, they took some pretty big swings on some really good offensive players and an okay defenseman in Morgan Riley. But the point was, those contracts, if the cap had been going up the way it is now, those contracts would have aged a lot better, and they would have been able to add a lot more players.
Yeah, because you think about it, like now, if the cap was going up continuously the last 5 years, right? If COVID didn't happen, they were able to make the money, we would be at a cap of like what, $120 million at this point, like over, and those contracts would have been like, oh, these don't fucking matter, like easy money, like we're paying that much for these people, chump change. But like that extended period of time of like being tied against an $80-something million cap, of course it's going to look bad, and then you can't build around it. And now finally, as the cap goes up, they're like, oh yeah, we can do these things, but then your superstar is pissed off because of the media, of the fans, of everything that's piled on.
And let me tell you one thing that I think we already knew, but we rediscovered. Toronto fans are fucking psychotic.
Psychos.
Dude.
Fucking
psychos.
Crazy.
Some of the shit I've been reading and hearing, and not even Toronto, just fans, but like Toronto media, like people that make their living as sports journalists and go on TV with suits,
whining,
some of the shit that comes out of their mouths,
fucking crying about it.
The victim complex is so deep.
Like, again, that's just something that we've really come to realize with I think it's good to have a GM that's quote unquote as ruthless as Kelly McCrimmon.
I don't even think
he's not ruthless.
He's not even that ruthless.
No, but as people call it, as ruthless, is that yes, you can get attached to a player because you have good memories with a player, good watching him score something or an important thing in your life about how it revolves around this player, right? You can get attached to that person. And the thing with McCrimmon is he's made us realize, like, you're never going to have someone here forever. Whether that's through retirement, whether that's through injury, whether that's shipping somebody out. Like, it happens. It's a business. At the end of the day, this isn't just a game. It's a multi-billion-dollar business.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if... Nah, I don't know. I do know. There's fans and fan bases that just don't realize this, that once the player is drafted there and signed there, they have to stay there forever.
Yeah.
They have to be loyal.
You're a piece of shit.
Piece of shit if you leave. Yeah.
Leave.
Like, Toronto, prime example. That's what right now with Marner or with
even some of our own fans, they got
shit
with Marchessault.
Yeah,
people got pissed.
Yeah, I'm like
pissed at him, and I'm like, dude, I don't blame him.
He's got every right to go chase the money, or like with Hague, like some people have come around on Hague. I'm like, okay, go get money, Hague. Go get some more minutes.
I'm not going to begrudge these guys for making the obvious choice. You know what I mean?
It's your future, right? It's your money over and your family in the future. Like, go figure out, go make the money to make your life better. Like, it's going to be overall, Mike. But like Toronto's like, I've seen fans who are like, how dare he leaves? Like, he leaves these fans.
Well,
and this.
It's it's like,
give me a fucking break.
He was always a loser. I'm like,
he's been a point per game, over a point per game player every single year he's been in the league except for his rookie season.
Here, you know what you do? Let's pause real quick.
Yeah.
Pull up his stats, and we'll just go through it. And
I'll pull it up on my phone right now. But
talk about what kind of player we got.
Yeah, I'll pull up right now because I was actually looking at it. Like, it's shocking how good he's been. Let me pull it up right now. I was actually looking at it earlier today because I like to ponder the goodness of our hockey lives while watching other people fail. All right, age 19 season, so rookie season. He played 77 games, 61 points.
Okay.
He was even plus minus. Next season, age 20, 17, 18. 82 games played, 22 goals, 47 assists, 69 points, -1. So maybe a sophomore season, I'm like, okay, you're still learning it out. Age 21 season, another full season. 26 goals, 68 assists, 94 points,
Jesus
plus 22.
Christ.
Age 22, the one part of the COVID seasons. 59 games played, 16 goals, 51 assists, 67 points, plus 6. The full shortened COVID season. 55 games played, 20 goals, 47 assists, 67 points again.
You know, it's really
plus 21.
You know, it's crazy before we move past that COVID era. And I get it, you know, losing to Montreal the way that they did was just unacceptable. But like,
he's
22,
23 years old.
He was 22 years old. You know, why doesn't this kid know how to win how come he doesn't know how to win championships?
Yep.
That's, oh my God. That is insane.
Age 24. So next full season, 72 games played, 35 goals, 62 assists, 97 points, plus 23. Age 25, 80 games played, 30 goals, 69 assists, 99 points, plus 18. Age 26, 69 games played, 26 goals, 59 assists, 85 points, plus 21. And last season, age 27, 81 games played, 27 goals, 75 assists, 102 points, plus 18. Keep in mind, let me give you these penalty minutes. Just 38, 26, 22, 16, 20, 16, 28, 18, and 14.
Yeah.
He doesn't take penalties. He scores.
And
he's a consistent plus.
And don't forget, he plays power play 1, PK 1,
everything.
So what this all tells me is that he is one of the best players in the National Hockey League, and he got chased out of town by a rabid
fan base,
a
media base,
rabid, ignorant fan base who claim to be the know-all, end-all, be-all of hockey, but they don't seem to have basic common sense or knowledge about how a team should be built, or maybe why a 22-year-old can't carry you to a Stanley Cup.
Why every year it's their year, but they don't realize the drastic mistakes they made with their team.
I mean, I get it. These kids, they play the NHL games. They play the Be a Pro mode. Like, well, in my Be a Pro mode, we got to the Stanley Cup my first season. My rookie season. Yeah. I also won the Calder Cup and the Art Ross.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I had all my sliders turned down.
Therefore, a 22-year-old Mitch Marner should have been able to carry us to a cup.
Yeah, my goaltenders aren't, the half-dead body of Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Wool.
Well, Stolarz is actually a pretty good goalie.
Well, I mean, no. He was injured.
Well,
remember, against Florida. In his defense, he got fucked up. But
But the point being, that team was never deep enough. It was never constructed the right way. Never had goaltending.
This year was the first year that they had
their starting goalie for a while was Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah.
He wasn't good enough to be our backup.
No.
And people shit on Aiden Hill. This guy wasn't good enough to be Aiden Hill's backup.
No, and this year was their best year, and they took the cup champions to 7 games, right? And that's nothing to scoff at. But when you come back and say, well, we didn't win because Marner, I'm like, you have Austin Matthews on this team, right? Like, he's an American boy, and we love him, but he wasn't scoring goals. John Tavares wasn't doing shit. William Nylander didn't do that much.
It became very apparent that as the years went on, Mitch was the guy that was absorbing the vitriol, that was getting the most hate.
He's been getting the most hate from this team from day one. Do you remember the fucking Mike Babcock Babcock story where they said they didn't know who the rookie was, but they said pick a player on this team that's not playing hard enough, and he said he did this, and
his whole psycho fucking mind games
ruined Marner early on, and then Marner was like, he was pushing Marner to pick somebody. He's like, I don't know, and he threw at like Nassim Kadri, and Kadri found out about it, fucking was screaming at Babcock about it, and guess who got fucking traded pretty soon after? Nassim Kadri.
Yeah. But hey, don't worry. Toronto's just going to magically pluck him away from Calgary and solve. Yeah, because
I'm sure he's gonna want to be there right back in Toronto because it's totally changed.
Well, everyone does. Who doesn't? But
not Brad Marchand, not Sam Bennett, not Aaron Ekblad.
Yeah, but
yeah,
the point being, Mitch
this is the biggest.
I cannot wait for this year to, one, not only see Mitch thrive in Vegas, but two, if Toronto continues their Toronto bullshit, because I don't know if you saw, Alex, they really didn't get much in the free agent market. Not really.
Their biggest signing was their biggest acquisition was probably Nick Waugh.
Yeah, and then behind that, Matias Michelli?
Yeah, he's a good player, but he's not a top 6, forward. And then they signed Pizzetta. Right from
wow, the guy that went like 29 games without a point.
No, he didn't have any points this entire season.
Even better.
I think he was 0-0 every game. I don't know how many games he played, but he was straight up just 0.
Oh, there's your Marner replacement right there.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm wondering how people are gonna start, because when it got really bad, they would give the whole core 4 shit, but it was always mainly Marner.
Yeah,
and now he's not there to absorb that. How long until Austin Matthews
demands
cracks?
a trade? Yeah.
How long until Willie Nylander cracks? John Tavares is just happy to be there, I guess.
Yeah, John Tavares is 34. He's like, I'm here until I die. whereas Matthews and Nylander are young, right? Like
he's like, I don't care if I win. I ain't moving my shit.
No. Yeah, like whereas Matthews is still young, is in his late 20s. I think Nylander is also too, is in around that age, right? Late 20s. Like it's gonna shift to.
Yeah.
Marner's no longer the whipping boy.
Yeah.
They're going to pick somebody.
And I don't know, man. I like I said, the direct comparison here is Jack Eichel, who is the Buffalo whipping boy,
and he's
comes here,
thrived immediately,
wins a cup, and it's not just as simple as going there, right? He came here and he went from being like the captain of that team to not even wearing a letter.
Yeah, and then
he wears a letter now, but he was not expected to be the leader. He was not expected to be the savior.
The season we traded for him, we missed the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
And everybody that wasn't a Vegas fan was dancing on Jack Eichel's grave of like, oh, look what happens. You force your way out of a team, and you're immediately out. And guess what happens? Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Was that worth a few months of cap hell?
Yeah, and it was also worth fucking Alex. As much as I love Alex Tuck, but was it worth Alex Tuck and
Peyton Krebs?
Peyton Krebs, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the same way, I think we're obviously talking hypotheticals, but this is less hypothetical than Eichel was, because Eichel, when we traded for him, he had to get the neck surgery. He still had to have a long recovery ahead of him when we got him. Mitch Marner is healthy and ready to go.
He's in his fucking prime, dude.
In his prime. He
had 102 points last year.
The games that he's consistently been healthy.
Yeah.
Aside from one season, maybe. He's played a majority of the games in the season. And he's been over a point per game, and he's ready to go. And we're watching interviews. His wife's happy to be here because she's made friends with all the Team Canada wives and girlfriends. They're excited to have their kid here. Growing up here. They have a dog. They're like, oh, man, we're going to be hanging out and inviting people over to the house and having get-togethers. I'm like, this man's already talking about hanging out with his teammates. He's been here for fucking 3 days.
Well, and it's the culture in the room, which McCrimmon kind of talked about, too, in his press conference. He said, the thing with culture is you can't ever let it slip. And that's our message every year. Don't, guys, like, it took a long time to build this culture. Don't let it slip.
And I think that's good with the guys that we have. And I think, I'm very excited for game 1, whether that we're there or not, or we're watching somewhere. I want to see, obviously, training camp and everything. You're going to see how he gels. I don't think it's going to be much of a leap for Mitch Marner to gel with anybody.
Well, it's like I said,
you're going to be putting him with stars already.
Well, and that's the thing. He already played with stars. He spent his whole career playing with Austin Matthews. But what these fucking Toronto people don't understand is it's not just about that. It's about the mindset. It's about the culture. It's about the picking guys up when they fall. You're
telling me he didn't have his best season ever with a hard ass as a coach, Craig Berube?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Now he's going to Cassidy, a guy that loves Marner's style of play.
I know I told that story about the Panthers, how I forgot, but when they acquired someone and he was getting a little too flashy in practice, and someone pulled him aside and like, hey, we don't do that here.
Yep.
I feel like it's kind of a similar vibe in Vegas because last season, it's hard to remember because we finished with the gaudy point total, but we had a couple odd stretches here and there of bad play. Bruce Cassidy even said, sure, I could be the old school hard ass coach. I could bag skate them. I can yell at them. I can make them run drills. He's like, and honestly, I think they'd welcome that because these are old school kind of guys. Like, these players have that mentality. Right. They want to do shit like that. But he's like, I'm not going to do that because I don't think that's what's needed right now.
No.
And it's because there's such strong leadership in the room, and because there's such strong culture in the room, those guys hold each other accountable. They lift each other up when they fall. If someone has a bad stretch, they don't malign him or exile him. They find a way together. Very cheesy to say that out loud, but it's true.
But no, like it's it's the mentality in the room, and it's the players you got and everything. And I think I'm very excited to see what Mitch does.
Like, you can't tell me this isn't a put aside our fandom.
Yeah.
Put aside everything. You can't tell me that this isn't like the ideal fit for him.
Absolutely. Like, this is
like position wise, X's and O's wise, culture wise.
We desperately needed a right winger.
Needed any kind of winger.
Yeah, we need a star winger. I love Mark Stone. He's still a star, but he's getting older. We talked about this.
And he's only one person.
Yeah, we talked about this, on some, early, like some last podcast, last episodes talking about like what we're doing with them. We have to future-proof the lineup. Mark Stone is going to retire in the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, and
this future-proofs the lineup.
Yeah, Mark Stone's succession plan, and it's not just that; it's also right now.
Yeah,
it's
it's
winning
also
cups right now. It's having that extra help right now against Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Kirill Kaprizov. All these guys that are in our conference. This conference is a bloodbath.
And it's been said, when was the last time a 100 plus point or multiple point per game player has come up as a free agent?
He's also a perennial Selke contender.
Yeah, the Selke contender never, but the last 100 plus point, it just said plus, Jesus, 100 plus point guy was Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah.
And then the last one available was Eichel. And, that was through trade and everything. He could have gotten a lot more money somewhere else, but you got to feel good as a Golden Knight fan saying he wanted to come here. He chose this franchise, and he was willing to take $2.5 million less than anywhere else would have given him.
I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen it by now, but just the video of him in the front office,
having a good time.
It's funny
with his baby.
You go in the comments and there's all these salty people like, "Oh my god, this is so cringe. This is so awkward. What's that shit written on the walls? Could you imagine working there? It's so weird. Vegas sucks."
Could you imagine throwing your $275 Austin Matthews jersey on the ice because you're pissy that your team lost in, was that game 5 or something like that? Give me a fucking break.
No, for real. And I'm like, well, he looks pretty fucking happy to me.
Yeah,
he looks pretty relaxed to me. He looks like the weight of the world is off his fucking shoulders.
He looks like he can smile while he has an interview.
he looks like, okay, here 2 brief anecdotes about like fan interactions in different cities. Supposedly one of the reasons that really made Marner make up his mind on leaving Toronto was an incident with a fan where he felt, him and his wife felt unsafe. Yeah, that's something Freeman reported on. And
so if Freeman reported on, it's 95%.
Yeah,
true.
And I think CJ talked about it too.
So it's more than likely that.
So
not more than likely this happened.
and then even like on Edmonton, we saw that Stuart Skinner's wife was like, "Oh yeah, they sent death threats to him, death threats to me, death threats to the baby." Yeah. Like it's fucking insane.
That's normal, right?
And then meanwhile, Riley Smith, who spent the best part of his career here. Fucking legend in this town, Stanley Cup champion, leader on this team. He goes to New York. He goes to Pittsburgh. Both big, old school, good old boy, East Coast, northern, snowy climate.
Never stick in there, yeah.
Hockey markets. Not even that.
It's just, yeah.
He said that he was not recognized once.
Yeah.
The whole time he was in either of those cities. The night that he lands back in Las Vegas in the airport, he's in the parking garage loading up his car, and someone yells out, "Hey, welcome home, man. Welcome back. Good to have you."
And as soon as he got traded, his wife just oh, we're going back home. We're going back this. We're doing this. The kids are already back in school. Like, she was ready to leave fucking New York and Pittsburgh. I don't blame her. I've been there a couple times. They're both horrific cities. Good to visit, not good to live in. But yeah, like, you didn't finish the Marner incident with the fan, like.
Oh no! Well, that was.
Some incident happened. I could I absolutely could see that.
The point being that someone's getting threatened and feeling unsafe.
Of course, you want to leave.
The guy from Vegas is getting told, "Hey, welcome home. We missed you."
Or the guy that had a falling out with the ownership and GM in Marshall. In an interview afterwards, he goes, "Oh, nothing against the town or the fans."
I still don't understand how they got twisted so bad, but. Yeah, you watched the interview. I'm like, he sounded very complimentary to me.
Yeah, he was like,
and then even today, the battle for Vegas softball game.
James Neal, Ryan Reeves,
Logan Thompson. Remember how badly everyone's like, oh my God, Logan Thompson got traded during his own autograph signing. Vegas is fucking brutal, man. Well, he doesn't seem too upset to me.
He clearly loves coming back with his buddies and, in the town. Yeah,
he came back for the charity softball game.
Absolutely. It's. As much as people say it's ruthless, it's ruthless in a sense that they're willing to cut the fat that they don't need, or they're willing to drop somebody to make a big move.
Well, and a lot of teams are like that too. Like, I think we're the best at it, but like
Julian Breezeball was a fucking cold-blooded killer.
Yeah,
for their cup with that like 4-year span where they're there. Bill Zito's been pretty ruthless too, of cutting guys when you needed to.
Was Vegas really ruthless, or did we just used to have a lot of clients represented by Alan Walsh?
Yes, or was Vegas really ruthless, or are we proving a point that you don't necessarily have to stock up draft picks to be a successful team?
That, and we were a lot of things. We were the first team to do this, but okay. So one of the quote unquote ruthless trades, we dumped Pacioretty for free to Carolina.
Yep.
That was the first of many, but the years after that, it became very normal to dump guys for free because the cap situation was so dire.
Yeah.
Because the cap had frozen for so long.
Yep.
And GMs were in such desperate trades. None of those trades get talked about, but the first one does, because the first one was us dumping Pacioretty.
You forget.
Fleury, I still don't agree with that trade. I don't think it should have ever happened. But even Fleury, I'm like, okay, well, is it ruthless to fucking trade your 37-year-old goalie because you're trying to compete for a cup?
No.
It is what it is.
Like, there's been so many names that are ending up on teams that have been dropped for late round picks or money grabs. Like, like when Dadonov got dropped when we got him from Ottawa, he was given away for I think barely anything, right?
Well, and then like Tampa, like. So I can't believe they let Stamkos walk. Why did they even trade him? They just let him go to free agency. They let Stamkos walk, and why? So they could sign Jake Gensel.
Oh, yeah.
Who'd you rather have right now, Alex? Jake Gensel or Steven Stamkos?
You mean the guy that's fucking 6-7 years younger and had a much better season?
Dude, I literally forget that Stamkos is still playing.
Yeah.
That's how invisible he was that last year.
What was it, like a $4 by $8 million contract that Nashville's going to have to fucking eat? But yeah. All this tangent into talking about mistakes. This Mitch Marner contract, as of right now, and I think in 8 years, isn't going to be a mistake. He's just such a complete player. I think he's a guy that we haven't had. Obviously we've got Eichel, right, who's a superstar. We've got Dorofiev, who's budding into an elite goal scorer. Hurdle's an elite top 6 guy. Stone is still elite and up there. But you have, like we've said, you haven't been able to access a guy that's consistently a top 10 forward his entire career.
He might immediately be the best player on the team. Eichel plays a harder position.
Yeah.
He has more responsibilities. So that's why, it's close. But what else can you say? He's a fucking superstar.
Yeah.
He does it all.
Multi-time All-Star.
One of the best players in the National Hockey League.
And he
wanted to come here. We wanted him. And when Vegas wants a player, it happens.
Yeah. And your PK gets better. Your power play gets better. Your offense, your defense. Your team immediately gets tenfold better than it was before. Yeah, you lose Nick Waugh, but you replace him with Jeremy Lauzon, who's basically... Not Lauzon, I'm sorry. Colton Sissons, who's basically the same guy, but better at faceoffs.
Well, and that's the thing that I wanted to mention with you lose Hague.
Yeah,
you get Lazan. You lose Wah. You get Sissons. Wah and Hague are younger and better players than Lazan and Sissons. But Lazan and Sissons are guys that you can win with. They're good players,
and you're getting from cheap.
And sometimes, and what has been our position of strength the last few years, the defense and the center core.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes you have to shave a little off where you're strong, so you can do something like add
Mitch Marner,
the best fucking winger in the game.
But your centers are still Eichel, Hurdle, Carlson, and then Sissons.
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Lauzon, he led the league in hits 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I feel like people are like, oh, we just got some trash.
6'3", 240 something pounds. Like Lauzon's gigantic.
These are good players. These are players you can win with.
Yeah, Lauzon's mean. Lauzon fights. Lauzon's fucking brutal. Like he'll sit there in his own zone and just beat the shit out of somebody. And yeah, you get these guys back, sure, like you said, are they older and not as good right now as Juan Hague, but you have to make sacrifices. But that being said, two guys we didn't sacrifice. These are made official. Sod and Smith officially signed. Happy with it.
Just as reported.
Great.
1 year, $2 million deals.
And then today, Ken Korzak extended for 4 years, $3.25 million. So he would be an RFA. It would have been an RFA next season.
Mm-hmm.
But this comes off of the back of, in the press conference Kelly McCrimmon had, he said, as we will get to Alex Pietrangelo, he said they talked to him about, what he wants to do, the team and everything. Pietrangelo specifically said, Korzak needs to play. He is the future of this defense. He's got a ton of potential. And they immediately go, okay, let's sign this kid to an extension. But to have a guy like Pietrangelo have support and confidence in you as like a 23-year-old, and he's got to be fucking hopped up on piss and vinegar, ready to go for the season.
Well, I mean, he has the ability to step in and be an NHLer.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to fill the void that Pietrangelo
No,
left.
not right now. He's still so young. Yeah,
no one ever will. No one ever will.
Maybe in 4 years he'll be like a great veteran presence, but like right now he's young. He's gonna play a lot more games, but he's got a lot of talent to his game. He's a pretty quick defenseman. He's got a really quick snapshot, like from the point.
I would just sum this up as this is a savvy move, a smart bet on young talent.
Yep.
And I would rather have Caden Korzak 4 by 3.25 than Cody Ceci 4 by 4.25.
Yeah. Just a couple more. Dylan Coughlin's back, but $775K. He's going to be up and down, depending on injuries.
That was another thing McCrimmon said. He's like, well, we want to play with 7 defensemen this year because we want it. He basically said, like, we want Korzak to play and we don't want Hutton just not playing.
Yeah, he'll swap in probably with Lauzon, I would assume.
So I'm guessing I'm guessing Coughlin will be in Henderson. Which would be nice for us. We can actually see him.
Yeah, and then Megna, who's
never forget that random hat trick against Minnesota.
Yep, he did. That was crazy. And then Jacob Megna, who's just kind of a career bottom pair, AHL guy. For the defense, $800K. He'll probably be in the AHL, but he's also huge. He's 6'6", like 270. Like he's gigantic. Like just a massive human. We'll see him in Henderson more than likely. And then Cole Reinhardt, another AHL body.
Then today, Jeremy Davies.
Is he a defenseman or a forward?
I think he's a defenseman, so he'll
probably. We had to fill out our. We had like literally 3 AHL defensemen.
Exactly. So these are all Silver Knights guys.
Yeah, and then all of our RFAs got qualifying offers, which I'm surprised by.
A little bit. Not too surprised, but like we went through the other day. I'm like, I can see some of these guys being let go, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. And
one of those guys will be the extra forward for sure. So.
Oh yeah, I would think Schwintz or Lavoie, probably Schwintz, just because he plays a pretty responsible defensive game. Before we get into the potential lineup, we kind of skirted around the topic. Alex Pietrangelo is for sure out for the season.
Oh, he's done.
He's Yeah, well, yeah, he's done.
McCrimmon basically
McCrimmon said he's not playing hockey ever. In his opinion, he's never gonna play hockey again.
He said, "I'm not expecting him to ever play again."
So it was announced that he's likely going through with the surgery, and the surgery is obviously, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you are up to date on the news. Bilateral femur reconstruction, which at first you're like, oh, mate, it's just one leg he's got to get fixed. Screws, like our friend Lance said, screws from both sides.
Oh, no. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I don't know exactly what that is, but
it sounds bad.
That sounds really bad.
So he's got to get both femurs and both legs reconstructed or semi-replaced. And on top of that, that includes hip resurfacing.
Mm-hmm.
So he was playing high-level hockey and playing as well as he was playing on no femurs and no hip connection.
Yeah.
And, the guy has played so many meaningful minutes and has done so many, meaningful things, played through so much shit, but, to power through something like that, and still play as well as he did.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's a fucking warrior.
I go, my thumb hurts from holding my typing too much and from carpal tunnel. And this man's got no fucking lower body and he's playing hard hockey.
Yeah. And from the way McCrimmon described it, he's like, yeah, it just got worse and worse, and he had to go through more and more just to be able to skate every day.
Yeah, how are you gonna get better while also playing and practicing and doing all that shit at the same time? And he's, like we said, he's been through so much in that, his whole thing with his daughter on the Cup year where she got sick and he was thinking about retiring then and then having multiple injuries and, up and down with injuries through his career, but majority of his career playing a lot of games. And then he got over 1,000 games with us. He's played a shit ton of hockey and a shit ton of high-level hockey. Won 2 cups. Captained a team to 2 cups.
I say he's done it all. But yeah, 1,000 games. He got the silver stick, the gold stick from us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, McCrimmon also said it in the press conference.
Olympic gold medal.
McCrimmon said in the press conference,
cups.
Stones credited him with being essentially the captain of that Stanley Cup team, taking more of the responsibility from him of supporting that team through the run, right?
Well, exactly, and that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier when we're talking about Marner's fit, in the sense that it's not all just put on one guy. It's easy to be like, well, Stone wears the C, he's the captain, but Stone leaned on Pietrangelo a lot.
And Marner's coming into a great situation. He's going to, in this Pietrangelo talk, Marner's coming in to lean on Mark Stone, Riley Smith, William Karlsson, Jack Eichel.
I will say,
Braden McNabb.
You can't ever replace Pietrangelo, but thank Christ Riley Smith is back for that leadership element.
Yeah, huge leadership. And Colasar and Howden both stepped up this year in a leadership sense, right? So it's a lot of guys that are, you could say you have too many leaders in a room, but there's a lot of veteran presence in a room that obviously can use it.
And I will say, I still even now think that people are continually underestimating how good he was on the ice. Yeah, because I feel like people you say his name and the first thing they say is, well, good veteran leadership. I'm like, no, that's true. That's true, but I'm gonna say this, and people are gonna probably not agree with it, but I mean it with my whole bussy. Alex Pietrangelo is the best defenseman on this team. Yes. He's better than Shea Theodore. He is better than Noah Hannafin. He's better than Caden Court. He has been the best
up until he was injured and he had I don't know how long he was out. It was right around the Four Nations break. Mm-hmm. He was having a career year with no femurs and barely any hips left.
Yeah, and I
keep that in mind.
And I know it's always been, I would say popular or whatever, like a contrarian take, like, well, he sucks, and actually Shea Theodore is the best defense. Like, no, he was better than Shea Theodore. This is the first year that Theodore even came close.
Yes,
even came close. And yeah, Theodore, great offensive guy. He cannot play the game that Pietrangelo does. He played such hard minutes. He's playing fucking 22, 24, 26 minutes a night. The hardest minutes, the most important minutes.
The wire minutes.
The hardest situations.
He was playing PP1, not PP1, sorry, PK1.
And even in this most recent playoff, when he was hurting the most, and, you You could tell maybe he wasn't quite himself. He was getting rid of the puck a little quicker, but even so, he was still playing the most, playing the hardest minutes against the worst, shittiest assignments. Mm-hmm. He was the guy that you could depend on.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people try to hot take like, well, actually, Vegas is now worse. I'm like, I can't get there, but I will say that that we should all be excited for Marner, and I'm very excited for all this, and I have faith in Caden Korczak, but be warned, everyone. This is a bigger loss than I think anyone's realizing.
But I think with Marner coming on, you're absorbing some of that defensive liability, right? With Pietrangelo.
Oh yeah, and thank Christ he's a two-way player, and thank Christ we're a two-way team with a strong system, and guys that aren't just there for their fucking cookies.
Yeah, but replacing his minutes is going to be by committee, right? You're going to use a Lazan and Korczak and Hutton, and then maybe bring in Coughlin or Magna here and there to spell some minutes, right? You're not going to straight up replace this guy. You can't. He's a Hall of Fame player, and I don't give a shit who you like. Alex Pietrangelo was a Hall of Fame player. Mm. Over 1,000 games, multiple Norris nominations, 2 cups, led both teams to those cups. Just a complete defensive stalwart for 15 fucking years. Most of his career, he's made the playoffs. Yeah. He's a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, so it was a pretty crazy weekend, going from the
highest to highs,
the extreme highs of like, oh my god, we landed Marner, to oh my god, Petro's fucking done, dude.
He's
because like that morning at work with all the Marner shit leaking out, I was like, oh.
And then
when I got home, I was basically doing the Bella from Twilight. I was just out in the woods, just curled up, just withering away. Like,
there was a moment where I was like, fucking just, it happened. And I was just sitting on the couch, kind of just staring at a blank wall, just like, I should be happy right now.
All around
but it hurts.
Me are familiar faces,
and
worn out faces.
Yeah, I mean,
worn out places.
It's gonna suck, and I love Petro. I loved what he brought, and what he did every day. But hey, he's gonna get the surgery. He's gonna end up probably better for it. And you know what? He'll still get paid $17 million over the next 2 years. So,
as McCrimmon phrased it, like, we're going to honor his contract.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's done so much for the team. And, obviously, sucks. It happens. We've seen it with Shea Weber, Carey Price.
And, again, credit to the front office. If you're faced with this reality, you got to do what you can to mitigate.
Yeah.
And I think we made all the right moves.
You know what I was fucking sick of? Like, let's bring it back into less seriousness. All the fucking jokes on the announcement on
LTIR, Vegas and LTIR. He'll be back for game one for the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll believe it when he's game one. I'm like,
oh, he conveniently just gets hurt. Let me tell you one thing.
The same fucking it gets fucking real old real fast when it's the same fucking joke every day for fucking 5-6 years. I'm like, okay, fun guys.
Isn't that convenient?
But
let me tell, as we just alluded to, there is nothing convenient
about bilateral femur surgery.
There's nothing convenient about losing Alex Pietrangelo on your blue line.
No.
There's nothing convenient about having to acquire let go of Nick Hague so you can acquire Jeremy Lauzon.
Yeah, Jeremy Lauzon could be quite serviceable, but yeah, there's no world that's a better situation.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, let's get all the jokes out, guys, and funny, cool, have a good time, losing again.
Edmonton was $2.5 million over the cap.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Florida was how many minutes? Like 20?
10.
10. Yeah, it was insane.
10.9 or something.
So like, give me a break. But this lineup going into next year, as it stands right now, kind of.
Can I want to throw something at you real quick because I see you got the proposed lineups here. Let's put that aside for a second and let's explore it this way, because this is an audio-only medium. Mm-hmm. I think if we start throwing names out there, it's going to get hard for people to track without a visual.
Yeah.
Let me boil it down to this simple question for you. We are renowned for our center depth. Mm-hmm. We have premium centers. We've had some iconic pairings in the past, Jack Eichel and Jonathan Marchessault, Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone, William Karlsson and Riley Smith, etc. What center do you want to see Mitch Marner paired with?
Obviously, you would want to. I would want to go nuclear with it and do Eichel, but I could see it with Hurdle too. Just giving Hurdle a guy that's just everywhere, everywhere on the ice, all the time. But do you not think if Marner's on Eichel's wing, Eichel's not going to score 45 plus goals?
Well, and that's the thing, because to me, it's very tempting to default to that. Put your best winger with your best center. So, what does Marner excel at? What's he kind of critiqued for? He excels at getting the puck to his teammates.
He's also really good about
having that vision.
He's really good about slot passes.
Exactly.
Passes to where, I think you're going is where Tomas Hertl always is.
Exactly. Marner, he doesn't really get in the dirty areas, and people love to pick on that when you're some fucking meathead from Toronto that doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But if you think about that, he's also really good for rewarding other players that do go to the front. So I would say put him with Tomas Hertl.
Yeah?
Tomas Hertl, we've seen it all season long last year.
30 goals, 31 goals last year.
He fucking lives in the blue paint. He lives behind the net.
And put Dory with someone like Eichel, where Eichel's good at giving those, wrist shots to somebody.
Exactly, because Dorofiev, his main asset is his shot.
And
Eichel, his main asset is his playmaking ability. Even though he also has a great shot, and we're always saying shoot more, shoot more, shoot more, shoot more. Ken from Sinbin, he brought up the metrics. Eichel shot a lot, actually. He does shoot. I just don't think that's ever going to be the best part of his game.
Yeah, because you could always put Stone up there with Eichel and Dory still, and Sod and Hertl were really good together, right? And
exactly.
Put Sod with Hertl and Marner, and then conveniently have Brett Howden with William Karlsson and Riley Smith,
and that would be a very effective third line. And I don't remember because I made fucking 5 or 6 lineups. I don't remember which one I sent you, but I would almost say if Dorofiev and Eichel are gelling, because I always think in pairs. Coaches love to think in pairs, not the whole line, but find a pair and then find a complementary
But also
piece.
think about like you said, if you move Marner down, doesn't that spread out the minutes really well for everybody?
Well, I mean it's hockey 101. Spread them out.
And if you have a defensive situation, you put out Stone, Eichel, and Marner.
Exactly. Or if you want to load up, it's like we did against Minnesota in the playoffs. He put Karlsson with Eichel.
Yeah.
And that line was fucking.
Yeah.
That line was disgusting.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and obviously lines are never set in stone. They juggle.
They can move.
Yeah,
it's going to change throughout the year.
But one thing from that is I would really love to see Mark Stone with Karlsson and Smith.
Yeah.
And if you can have Mark Stone in your third line, that's kind of like Florida having Brad Marchand in their third line.
And you could put Barbie down on the fourth.
Yeah, and Howden, Barbie, whatever. To me, those two are kind of
defense. We talked about it. McNabb, Theodore, Hannafin, White Cloud, Lauzon, Korzak, Hutton's the extra. I have no problems with that defense.
Yeah, and we talk about Korzak moving up and becoming an everyday NHLer. I think it's also time for White Cloud to move up and be a top 4 guy.
Yeah,
he was so good this last year, and I feel like people just don't see it. And I think it's what I call the John Merrill problem. The bottom pair defenseman tends to become a whooping boy because of the assignments he has. But I thought White Cloud was really fucking good.
Really good. He played really well in the playoffs too.
And I really like him paired with Hannafin.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited because I think this is a great time for him to move up, and I think he's capable of it.
Yep, I do too. I agree. And for that contract,
I said on that bargain contract too.
Yeah, great deal. Well, we got through the team. We want to talk about some of the moves that happened. So there are some contracts made, outside of the Golden Knights, and some good ones, some bad ones. We want to talk about, outside of us, what do you think was a Like, great contract. Who do you think won a signing? Like, what was the best contract outside of Mitch Marner for you?
Aaron Ekblad.
Yeah. For me, it's probably Sam Bennett.
Yeah.
It's either of those two. Just because they took a deal to stay there, and you're getting a ton of value for not a lot of money.
Well, and to me, it's like, Aaron Ekblad, right shot defenseman. He played great. I think he would have gotten like 9+ on that open market.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Bennett, he also probably would have gotten something like that. But, another way I look at it is like, putting playoffs aside, is Sam Bennett an $8 million player? Not really. Not in the regular season, but in the playoffs,
yeah,
he turns into a fucking $20 million player.
Yeah.
Aaron Ekblad, regular any situation, I'm like, you're like only paying 6 something for Aaron Ekblad? Shit, man. What a steal.
A non-Florida one that happened today, P.S. Suter.
That was a good one.
That was a good 2 years, $4 million. 2 years, $4 million a year.
Solid.
He's going to play second or third line center for St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He'd probably slot in behind Thomas and Shen.
Yeah.
Probably
good defensively.
Play him up if you have to.
Yeah, I mean, he played up in Vancouver and had a great year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a good contract. And let's get in.
I'll say, what was the worst contract?
I don't know. How many contracts did Ken Holland sign?
Oh, I was going to say, what was the worst contract signed in free agency, and why was it Ivan Provorov?
Oh, yeah, that
deal was fucking atrocious.
7 by 8.5.
Yeah, I could not believe what I was fucking reading. And I feel like because it was Columbus, people kind of glossed over it, but I don't want to be overreactionary, but I feel like Columbus just halted all this momentum they kind of been building. Like, it's like, oh yeah, they great story. They come together for Johnny, and they have this great year, and there's always kind of buzz of like, yeah, actually, guys, kind of, it's not a bad place to play, nice city, we're nice facilities,
good locker room, good ownership,
and it's kind of seemed like those bad stories about those bad storylines for Columbus were kind of just starting to fade
Patrick
away.
Laine, it was more of a player situation, not the organization, right?
And this just really, it's like, damn, you had to pay Ivan Provorov $8.5 million just to stay there. I guess people really don't want to play in Columbus. No, goddamn,
awful contract. That was
fucking awful. Ivan Provorov is not good.
He's a middle pairing defenseman,
and not even a good one
on most teams, to a bottom pairing guy that really is really only offensively sound, right? Because we were attached to him last year, I think, or 2 years ago,
God.
And we were both like, no, and he's just a defenseman that's there. And he's like, and then 8.5. Like, did you not learn anything from losing Seth Jones, right, to Chicago? I mean, obviously he just won a cup. I'll eat my words, but that's because he's only getting paid $6 million because Colorado ate that contract. Did you not learn anything from seeing what Darnell Nurse sewered the Oilers with that contract? Like,
it's dangerously close to the Nurse number.
Oh yeah. It's obscene, and you still have to pay, Marchenko in a couple years. You're paying Voronkov. He's an RFA. You got to pay Voronkov this year. Kent Johnson might have another really good year, and you're going to have to increase his contract. Fantilli's going to be up soon.
Yep.
There's a lot of young talent that's really fucking good on this team that you're not going to be able to afford because you gave Ivan Provorov $8.5 million to be a mid defenseman
for a long time.
And obscene, like absurd. We brought up Ken Holland, but the Cody Ceci contract.
Oh, pick one on. Dude, like,
remember when you said like, oh, the Dumoulin's not bad, but then you look at the number and the term, you're like, he's 34.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't hate it as much. I mean, I guess if you're comparing it to the CC deal,
at least Dumoulin's a good good defensively or decent defensively. CC just is dog shit. He doesn't play defense.
Sometimes I'm like, the Cody CC whatever. It's probably a little overblown. I feel like he would be fine as a bottom pairing defenseman somewhere.
If he was getting paid $2 million.
Yeah.
$1.5 million.
If he was on your bottom pair on a good team, he'd probably be okay. If he was on your middle pair on a bad team, he'd probably be okay. But last time I checked, LA's trying to contend. And
to trade Spence, who was getting paid nothing and was young, very young, and statistically a great bottom pairing defenseman, just to bring in Cody Ceci at triple the price.
Yeah, and then
and then Corey Perry for way too much money.
Yeah, $2 million for Corey Perry,
and then Dumoulin, and then Kuzmenko re-signing for a year. That's I would say a good
fair,
deal. Fair, whatever. But like the names you bring in, you're like, this is Ken Holland special. You bring in a bunch of old fucking turds that haven't been good. I mean, yeah, they're hockey players. They're better than me, but old guys that haven't been necessarily good at their position in a while to do what? Make your team worse? Make your team older? Like, that was the whole thing with LA they had going from. They were young and exciting with a good mix of veterans. They had Anze Kopitar and Adrian Kempe, Kevin Fiala, Philip Deneau. Are you going to be able to fully re-sign Alex Laferriere?
Yeah,
what's Brant Clark going to feel like? Like,
well, what are they going to do when
your defense is so old now? Well, Doughty, Dumoulin, Ceci, and then Clark. I think Edmondson's still there, but he's older, right?
Mikey Anderson.
Mikey Anderson's a little younger, but like it's old.
And all those names, and Cody Ceci is the second highest paid one.
You're right. He's the second highest paid behind Doughty.
Yeah, and
oh my god.
And Doughty's 35. I mean,
he doesn't have that much left in the tank. This is, I think, Kopitar's last year on his contract.
Could very well be. Last year was the first year where he looked his age.
I mean, again, I love it because it's my enemy, and they're failing, and Ken Holland's sewering another rival. But
yes, I won't pick a place for them quite yet. I'll save that for later. But
dumb.
A couple weeks ago, I was like, man, who I could see? If they play their cards right, taking a step. I could see LA.
Yeah.
All this attention's on Vegas and Edmonton.
They went out. They went out and got Besser, or they went out and got. They kept Gavrikov.
Yeah, they
just did the bare minimum, but instead. Ken Holland's like, nope, I'm swinging the other. I'm going the old classics. Cody Ceci.
Yeah, they really fucked themselves over.
And then I think LA is the overall loser of this because I'm not counting the Islanders and the Sabres. They're going to be losers anyways. They're bad. Teams that were LA finished second or third.
The division.
In the division, right?
Yeah.
Either way, they finished top 3 in the Pacific, had a great season, and you somehow got worse. And then I know, Edmonton fans are gonna, if they hear this, I doubt they will. They're gonna make fun of like, well, you guys didn't make it. You passed us this year. Well, your team got noticeably worse. They lose Corey Perry, they lose Connor Brown. They traded Victor Arvidsson for a cap dump. They traded Evander Kane for a cap dump. And all they did with that money was sign Evan Bouchard to an 8 by $10.5 million. And all right, Edmonton fans, come for me because you're gonna go, well, if you look at his expected this and expected numbers, I have eyeballs and I watch hockey, and he sucks half the fucking game at playing defense.
Here's a new stat for you, Evan Bouchard stands. Fucking series losing mistakes, embarrassing game-winning series losing mistakes per 60.
Allowing Sam Reinhart to score multiple goals on you because you are dog shit in the game and you cannot do anything about it. Sign him to that contract, and then a contract that I hate, but for some reason the rest of the hockey world loves. Andrew Mangiapane, 2 years, 3.4, something like that. And we're back to the point with Edmonton of ifs. Like we said last week, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, Merry Christmas. This is the same thing they did with Skinner and Arvidsson. Sure, was Arvidsson pretty good in the playoffs? Yeah, but you traded him. He's gone. Jeff Skinner wasn't good at all. And now you're going to go another if for Mangiapane. They're like, well, he scored 35 goals 4 years ago.
They've really gotten into this place where
I want to explain to you this team that Andrew Mangiapane scored 40 goals on. This was that Calgary team that had Johnny Gaudreau that scored 40 goals. Matthew Tkachuk scored 30 plus. And then I'm forgetting a guy, and he was also fucking important. But also on that team is when Noah Hannafin had 50 plus points. Michael Backlund had a shit ton of points.
And what happened to that?
Anderson, all these guys were firing on next levels. Of course he scored that much because everybody was fucking flying, and then and then all those guys leave, and then he goes to Washington, and he immediately is only scoring at most 17 goals.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't think he's a bad player.
No, he's a serviceable player.
He's a complimentary
middle
piece.
six guy.
But the point is, to me, it's not even about Andrew Mangiapane himself. It's about the fact that you have constructed your cap in a way where the best ad you can do is a Mangiapane type player.
And you had to trade Victor Arvidsson and not bring back.
He fucking sucked anyway.
Corey Perry had, as much as I hate Corey Perry had a pretty goddamn good year with the Oilers and a great playoffs with the Oilers.
Well, he's also fucking 40.
Yeah, but he had a good. He's 40. He had a good year, and then Connor Brown's gone too.
Yeah. To me, it's just another version of what they've been doing for a while, where it's like we're just gonna have way too much faith, and okay, we got Connor, we got Leon, we're gonna find a way.
But look at us.
And then instead of building they don't build it. They don't build a team from the ground up. They just bargain bin hunt every year, and if that group of guys doesn't work, all right, toss some guys, scrape up some bottom of the barrel bargains, and we'll try again. Oh, didn't work. Okay, toss some guys, scrape up some other randos, see if it works.
You can only use that superstar defense for so long, yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying it's like a good way to do business.
I mean, for them at least, for that fan base, is Connor McDavid the best hockey player in the world? Sure, yes. Isn't Leon Draisaitl the next best or the number 3? I don't deny that. They're both great, and Bouchard's a good offensive defenseman. He's not a good defenseman. Good offensively.
But can any of them win?
No.
When Gustav Forsling is shutting them down.
Yeah, but look at this lineup right now. I'm gonna read you off this lineup as it exists. Of course,
Alex, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep looking at the Edmonton lineup and laughing at them, and then they keep going to the cup.
I think this is the year it's going to hit a wall. Of course, it's the off season, but I'm not going to get into it. But you said superstars. But I wanted to bring up is we're doing the same thing, but with better depth.
Well, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. It's because we have Mitch Marner, superstar, great. We have Jack Eichel, superstar, great. You have Mark Stone, I don't know what the difference is between superstar and star. Point is,
star.
We got stars, but then what are your ancillary pieces? What are your secondary pieces?
William
Karlsson,
Riley Smith.
Yeah, fucking. And then on the back end, Shea Theodore, Noah Hannafin. I'll throw Zach Whitecloud in there.
Braden McNabb.
These are guys that have roles, that have specialties, that have jobs, that gel. They come together to be more than the sum of their parts.
Yep.
They are more that they can come together and be more than the sum of their parts. It is a masterclass in roster construction. It's not that video game mode where you're just like, okay, well, add some superstars and then I don't know who's available, who has the best points, and then just sign them. Fuck it, we'll see what happens.
Obviously, we're focusing on the Knights in the Pacific, but man, did the Pacific not get worse overall?
I think they got worse. I think a lot of teams. This is a really lame free agency. I feel like the needle didn't really move for a lot of teams all over.
Florida's bringing back everybody. They're going to be good again.
Well, that's an excellent point. People are like, why did free agency suck so bad? The cap went up. I thought free agency was going to be dope, and there's going to be all these offer sheets and all this. I'm like, that's what fans think. That's what media thinks.
You're not a GM. Yeah.
I said what GMs know. The cap going up. You know what that really means? That means you can re-sign your own guys finally.
That was the point.
That means you have less cap casualties.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone's like, oh my God, it sucks so bad because everyone has kept their own guys. I'm like, yeah, because they finally could.
Yeah, they have the money
to.
Of course.
In 5 years, they finally realized, oh my God.
Yeah,
my free agent that earned a raise, I can finally give him that raise. I can give him a raise, and
outside of Mitch,
I don't have to chuck him and go add some random fucking failed first rounder.
Yeah, outside of Mitch, the biggest real move or trade really was probably the Petrarca deal, right? And
23-year-old RFA.
Yeah, and everybody else re-signed or they qualified their RFAs or they're shopping them for reasonable amounts, or the GMs come out and said that if they get offer sheeted, we will match that. Like, it's like you said, people have money to match offers to keep their guys. Of course, they're going to do it
instead of fucking taking a gamble on an unknown. Yeah. Before I forget, another team who's a big loser in free agency. And it's really funny because people were starting to hype them up. The Boston Bruins.
We make fun of the Kraken for signing all middle six players. They signed all bottom six. Tanner Jeannot for $3.4 million.
Atrocious. Who else did they fucking add?
Isn't Zadorov on that team?
Oh, yeah. It was
a bad contract.
That was a bad contract from the start. Oh, let me see if I can...
Who else did Boston sign? I know it was dumb shit. And I said earlier that watch them sign Nikolai Ehlers for way too much money. Boston. They signed just a bunch of bottom six guys just for no reason really, other than to make David Pastrnak mad. And then
they accepted the Victor Arvidsson cap dump.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They took his bad contract.
They also signed Michael Eyssimont and Sean Corrali.
The Eyssimont deals, he's a really good bottom six player, but where's he's going to play on Boston?
I'm just laughing because there's a lot of, the Bruins are an old popular team. There's a lot of supporters of them in media. And I'm just laughing because last year they crash and burn. They sell Marchand. Marchand wins a cup.
Mm-hmm.
But what everyone kept saying is like, hey, but it's okay because we still got Swayman and McAvoy and Pasta. And, this is still a good team. It just didn't work out this year. And you know what? We're going to come back and we're going to rebuild.
We need to start
a quick little off season. And we got this.
We need to start doing this podcast on camera so that everybody can see my head. Just no.
I'm trying to have people see me,
but no, you're right. It's like it's just the delusion that.
And then what really kills me is they have the draft, and then they're like, oh my god, they drafted James Hagen's like we're so back, masterclass by Don Sweeney.
He's 18.
Well, that and I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, great move by Sweeney, and I'm like, it takes zero critical thought to draft James Hagen,
the best player available,
at that position,
at pick 10, 9 or 10, what was it? Like
I don't even remember. The point is like, oh my god, Hagen's fell this slow. Yeah, I'll take.
Oh
him.
yeah, I'll take the crazy talented two-way player. That's
what crazy GM skill does it take to do that?
Like if we want to talk about winners of the draft, real quick, the Islanders had a fucking insane draft. They got Schaefer. And then they got Eklund's younger brother, and then they got Atchison, too.
Well, that's because Darsh made a smart trade to get 2 more picks in the first round.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he recognized his team needs a quick retool.
And
meanwhile, Boston, like I said, any idiot can draft James Hagen's at that position.
It's like, congratulations, boss. Like your old ass GM finally made a fucking correct draft pick after decades and decades.
Finally didn't fucking blow it.
They didn't take the fucking 6'8" fucking monster that could barely score, and then he goes to the NCAA and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and then so they give Tanner Jeannot that deal on that.
Absurd.
Because I know we said, oh yeah, I like Jeannot. I'm like,
for $1 million.
Exactly.
We said $1 million.
Like on a 2x1.
yeah, no, totally. Was it 4? It was 4 or 5 by 3 point. Way too long, way too much.
This guy is like a fourth line bruiser, and he's somehow made like $40-something million in his career. Like, it's insane. But I at the same time, I also don't know how you looked at their roster, and then you looked at the free agent class, and then like, oh yeah, they'll be good. What could they possibly do? Like, to their credit, or to defend them a little bit, they did what they could, because there was absolutely nothing you can do. I just don't understand why these Bruins fans thought it was magically going to fix itself.
It's the original 6 fucking
Idiocy.
derangement syndrome. Like every original 6 team thinks they're gonna fucking compete, in that season when their lineup points to them being maybe having a total of 75 points.
Yeah,
it's like that. I used to love them. Big Head Hockey, that Chicago thing I sent you, where it's like this. I'm like, all these kids are 21, 18 to 21. They're not going to be good for the next 5 to 6 years. Like they're not.
They might not even be good at all.
Yeah,
you never know.
You never know.
These
kids might not pan out. Like
magic beans.
These kids might not even be on this team in 3 years. They might use that to get a star player to come to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Yeah,
and it's all over the place. One real quick thing I wanted to mention before we finish up. Was that Keandre Miller signing insane to you?
I would say it was borderline insane.
A lot of money.
Borderline insane. Here's what I understand happened. Carolina was planning to offer sheet him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And, with an offer sheet, obviously you're going to throw a little bit more than...
Yeah, for the amount of money that they would offer to him, they would have had to give him up. I would say give him a lot more than they actually gave up.
Yeah, and then the two teams decided to talk and do a trade because Jack Drury is a crazy person that wants to chuck everyone out the window.
Oh, you mean Chris Drury? Jack is the center.
Oh, my bad.
Jack Drury, I don't know if he's related to Chris Drury, but Jack Drury plays for now the Avs.
You're right.
Chris Drury is an insane person.
Is an insane person. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know how to feel about that. It seemed a little rich to me, but at the same time, I was like, with that system, with that environment.
Miller fits so well into Brendan Moore's system.
He's always been a weird player for me, where it's like he's big, but he's not physical.
But he's also he's offensively gifted.
Say he's offensively gifted, but it never seems to.
But don't you think
he has all these things that just? I feel like he needs to go there and be like, Rod, what's my identity?
I think Rod will find it for him.
Yeah, like, who am I?
But don't you think
then Rod
putting
will be
him
like, my son.
Yeah,
you're gonna do this.
Don't you think putting him there is gonna immediately give them a younger, faster, better, bigger Burns?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the right move to. It's the right ad.
Because that defense is still insane. You still have Slavin, who's the best defensive defenseman in the league, and then you have Nikishin that'll be there, and
Chatfield.
Chatfield's really good.
It's
and
a really good
Walker, Gosh Despair's still there.
Yeah.
Like it's still a really great defense,
and a system that really thrives on defense
and
all that. So I will say, because they extended Logan Stankoven for only $6 million.
I love that deal.
I'm gonna say those moves kind of cancel out.
Yeah,
I think one, they got a real bargain, and then therefore they're able to afford a little bit of an overpay on an acquisition.
Obviously we're trailing off from the Golden Knights, but don't think I wouldn't be surprised if Nikolai Ehlers is a Carolina Hurricane this time next week.
That's my pick, because
they still have a lot of money, and then they could trade for somebody in the season or in the offseason to right the wrong of that Mikko Rantanen disaster.
Yeah, well, they certainly have the draft capital to do it.
Yeah, they do. They have a ton of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, back to the team, I loved this free agency. I know you could say, well, it wasn't too many moves, but it was the right moves. It was the biggest move.
It was the one big one.
The only big move. We got Mitch Marner. We got the priced pony, and then we cleared space, got some assets back, got some NHL bodies back for it. Yeah, you'll lose Pietrangelo, and it's awful. And you know what? Thank God we can put him on LTIR for the time being and gain his cap back. It sucks. It's an awful situation.
It's mixed feelings.
It's just two sides of a coin. You have, oh my God, this is amazing, to, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I want to die.
Alex, you know what it really is. Memento mori.
Yeah.
Remember you must die.
Yeah.
Memento amara. Remember you must love.
Yeah.
It's two sides of the same coin, baby.
Yeah, I mean, there
cannot be life without death.
Yep, and it works kind of perfectly. And I think we've talked about it before, but I think I said, he was probably going to retire in 2 years anyways. Sucks for him to go out the way he's going out, but he's had such a successful career, and a long one, multiple cups, done everything you can as a hockey player.
I look, you want to get a Pietrangelo jersey.
I mean, if you got a blank,
just to remember him by.
I would do it. I was thinking about doing it before it happened, and now it's like I think I need to just have him be like, he's gonna LTIR retire as a Golden Knight.
Yeah,
he's that's a name that's gonna be in the books. He might be our first. Well, England retired a Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love Derek England, but Petro will be the most successful retired Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, I'm excited for, obviously the off season is going to be long. We've got 2 months before camp, right?
Yeah, about.
But the rookie camp's going on. Yeah, rookie camp's going right now. It'll be faster than you think. Summer goes by pretty quick.
Maybe we can do that next time. We can look at our development camp roster and kind of break down the rookies for everyone.
They're all under 22 years old. They're all children.
That's why we need to talk about them.
They're all born after 9/11.
Christ.
That's where it gets scary. They're born. Some of these kids were born when we started high school, Jacob.
Memento mori.
The guy we drafted is 18. He was born in the year 2007. We were, I think, in freshman or sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, take a look at the rookies, take a look at what's coming up, preview Henderson. But yeah, I think this is the most successful free agency we've had in ever, maybe. I
would say, ironically,
since Petro.
This was our most successful free agency since we signed Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah, and I'm excited. Obviously, there's plenty of summer and plenty of time to go, but extremely excited for the future of this team.
I cannot wait to see Mitch Marner raise the cup. And then the first thing I want to do is go online and go to the Maple Leaf subreddit and go to Sid Ciciero's YouTube page and
post a picture of the man.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to
talk dirty to me.
I'm going to buy a Marner jersey, wear it on the plane, fly to Toronto. No, I'll take it. Fly to Buffalo, walk across the Rainbow Bridge or whatever is up there.
I'll go with you wearing an Eichel jersey.
Yeah.
How about that?
And we'll hold hands crossing the bridge, walk just around downtown Toronto, and just parade ourselves around Toronto, and just bask in it.
One thing I meant to bring up when we were talking about Marner, and I forgot. What this whole situation really reminds me of? Just being really hard on a guy until he gets driven to the point where he leaves and you essentially chase him out of town. Really reminds me of a man named Phil Kessel.
Yeah, they did that to him too.
Who was one of the best players on your team. You ran him out of town. Said he couldn't be the guy. Said he couldn't win.
And he won how many cups in Pittsburgh?
2 in Pittsburgh, 1 in Vegas.
1 in Vegas, yeah.
And he went on to win 3 Stanley Cups, and each year he took the cup back to Toronto for his day with the cup and held a party.
And that man's American. That man's also. I love how petty some of these dudes are. Fucking beautiful. I hope Marner also takes it back to Toronto and just has a party on the fucking lake. Oh my God. That's also ifs, but we're in a better position than Toronto is right now. So we'll see. Plenty of time for that contract to come to fruition, right? 8 more years. So, and then Eichel is rumored to be ready to sign an extension pretty soon.
Yeah, this maybe not imminently, but expect it this summer.
Yeah, within this offseason.
You never know. That Korzak extension came out of left field.
Yeah, It could be tomorrow. Who knows? But, sign up with this one. I saw it earlier. Once a night, always a night. Mitch Marner was a London Knight. Comes back to where he was born into stardom.
It's meant to be.
And much like Mitch Marner, stay gold, everybody.
Mitch Marner is a Golden Knight. Stay gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.